everyone, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the first ever episode of contemplating my high school decision. If there's one thing I miss about being in high school, it's being my high school mascot for sure. So a few weeks ago, I set out to pursue the mascot content of YouTube to feel those nostalgic vibes when I noticed that there's a distinct lack of mascot content out there. So I've decided to be the change I want to see on the internet, and I will be telling the story of what it was like to don that hot fursuit and dance around in the name of school spirit. So without further ado, this is the story all about how my life got turned upside down when I became the school mascot. Like many teen stories, it all started with an identity crisis. It was a room temperature March morning when a freshman Lisa sat and thought to herself, "What is my purpose?" I was in a few clubs at school, but none of them really felt like home. You see, I was going through this phase where I felt like I really needed to define myself, and it was like I wasn't quite fitting in anywhere. And it was weird. It was like I wasn't the best at anything, and some of the times, or should I say most of the times, I wasn't even good at the thing. Like pole vault. Why did I want to do pole vault? What was that about? I don't know. It was just a weird time, and I felt like I really needed a win. I needed something that I was good at and that I could actually call mine. Something where I could look in the mirror and be like, I am good at blank. So I had heard the school cheer tryouts were coming up, so I decided to go to the cheer clinic to try out for the cheer team. And when I went, there were like 60 girls in the gym. They were all rehearsing the routines to try out for the auditions and stuff. And in my head, I'm thinking, 60 girls, there's gonna be some stiff competition to get this mascot spot. So I go home, I study up on mascotting, I come up with a whole routine. I buy props, I buy candy for the judges. I got my choir director to mix master a whole audition tape for me, just to show up and be the only person who tried out. Lo and behold, I got the spot. Ooh. Now this was still my first time doing anything like this, so I was still pretty nervous about the whole thing. Because in my head, this was my Disney Channel moment. This was my Hatching Pete, my Miley Stewart by day and Hannah Montana by night. So as nervous as I was super excited to get started, and I was super excited for how this year was gonna turn out. My high school's mascot was named Big Bad the Wolf. And to answer the question I got practically every game, yes, it was hot in there. I read somewhere that it's about 10 to 15 degrees hotter in a mascot suit than it is in like the outside environment. So those Texas football games where it's 100+ degrees for the average Joe, yeah, it's a wee bit toastier for someone dancing around for 4 hours in an all-black fursuit. And fittingly enough, the aftermath of me putting on that suit and dancing around for 4 hours in the hot Texas heat was looking like I had just took a cannonball in the ocean. And the vision wasn't so great either. I might as well mention the trash can too. So the way I transported this bulky suit all across the Metroplex is I had this big, giant trash can that I would cart around with me, and it was super loud in the quiet hallways. It was heavy, it was annoying, it was really conspicuous, and it was a pain to get on and off the school buses. But all of that was bearable. That was the easy part. What was less comfortable was actually performing that year. Generally speaking, being a mascot is a lot of improv. While you can have routines and like a plan and stuff, you are pretty much just on the spot. You're just putting yourself out there. Even if you do have a mask on, it's still you just coming up with a routine on the spot. And the mascot before me had the spot for about 3 years, and she was pretty popular. She was pretty well liked. A lot of people knew she was the mascot, you know, in and out of the suit. And so when she graduated and this random person just took over the spot, the crowd wasn't so forgiving. More specifically, I am talking about the upperclassmen, the people that had gone through most of high school with her as their mascot. So performing can make anybody a little nervous when you're trying your best to entertain a crowd and have a good time and just make people smile, and those same people are booing you, telling you to get off the field, telling you that you suck, telling you to quit and that the girl before you was so much better. It hurts in kind of a different way. I mean, during this first year, I would literally get booed at pep rallies just for like walking into the gym. I would walk in and people would literally like boo at me and tell me that I suck before I had even done anything. So that girl that had graduated who was mascot before me, I remember calling her like game after game, and I was like, how do you put up with this? Because I just can't handle it. And eventually my cheer coach helped me out, and she helped me deal with a lot of like the hecklers out there, but I still didn't feel welcome as the mascot, which of course only put a damper on my confidence going into every game. And every time I would just get more and more nervous that I was gonna mess up or ruin it, or I don't know. And it hurt my confidence a lot because it meant that Not only was I uncomfortable performing in like the mascot arena, but I was also in like choir, show choir, and it hurt me as a performer there too, because I just felt like, wow, I must be really talentless. And not only that, but I wasn't quite fitting in on the cheer team either. So as the mascot that first year, I was the only sophomore on a team of juniors and seniors who I had never met before. There wasn't any animosity or anything, we just hung out in different social circles, so I didn't really fit in with them either. But if anything good came out of that year, it's me learning how to actually feed myself in a way that's actually healthy. So at this point, I had been vegan for a few months before I became the mascot, and I wouldn't say I was the healthiest kid. So a normal day for me probably would be coffee for breakfast, 2 breadsticks for lunch, and maybe a smoothie for dinner. So I could probably count on one hand how many times a month I drank water. Being the mascot taught me real quick that was not gonna fly for very long. In the beginning, after every game, I would get like delirious, I would get nauseous, I'd be on the brink of passing out. So I learned pretty quickly that even though I had cut out certain food groups, I still need to be eating balanced meals every day. So eventually I learned how to have filling breakfast, lunches, and dinners that would actually sustain me throughout the whole mascotting process. So I guess that's one good thing that came out of that year. Now I know what you may be thinking. You're telling me it was over 110 degrees? You're telling me you got bullied? Your health was failing? Why, oh why didn't you just quit? Well, it's like they say, things got worse before they got better. So of course, after that rocky first year, I was really on the fence about trying out again, especially since so many people had come up to me telling me that they were going to take my spot and suggesting this person should be the mascot, that person should do it, this person would be so much better, that person would be great. So I figured I would still try out, and if somebody takes my spot, it is what it is, maybe it's just not meant to be. But when it was finally showtime, nobody showed up. So bada bing bada boom, I was the mascot again. But this year was different. This year was gonna be my first time going to cheer camp with the cheerleaders. Every year, the team would go to this camp at one of the local colleges. The way it worked is that it was about 4 or 5 days out of the summer, and we would go up to the school, and after breakfast, the cheerleaders would split with the mascots. They would go off and learn tumbling and cheering and chanting and stunts and things, and the mascots would learn different mascot skills. So if you couldn't tell by my hoodie, the camp was hosted by the National Cheer Association, so it was pretty legit. So at the camp, they gave us these handbooks, and we'd have different competitions every night. And what was weird about this camp was that even though I was learning a lot, I was shocked to see how many skills I had picked up from that first rough year that I had. I mean, performing in the heat? Check. Performing in front of different crowds, or more importantly, tough crowds? Check. Keeping myself healthy and hydrated? Check. So I was going back to the dorms every night feeling like I was actually like learning things. I was actually becoming a good mascot. And the many competitions that we had all throughout the camp, they all led up to the last couple days where you could try out for All-American Mascot, and we would have this giant award ceremony where we would perform a skit and be presented with whatever awards we earned throughout the camp in front of all the cheerleaders from all the schools that had come, all the families. There were like administrators and teachers there. It was a really big event. So to keep it brief, for the All-American tryout, all of us mascots had to come up with a 2 or 3 minute skit, and we'd perform it in front of a judge, and you would know within a couple hours whether or not you made it. So this was the one thing I focused on all week. I stayed up late making props and writing a script, and when it was finally time to perform it, I had a whole production. I had my cheer team in it, and when it was done, there was nothing left to do but sit and wait for the results. For the award ceremony, like I said, all the cheer teams were there, and I'm pretty bad at gauging numbers, but I'd say there were probably like 1,000 people there, between the cheerleaders, the coaches, the parents, the staff, faculty, everybody. So it was a pretty big audience. So all of us mascots, we had one final presentation in front of everybody, and then it was time for the award ceremony. So I sat there, I heard all these other mascots' names being called, I heard this person being called, that person being called, and I was just thinking, yikes, I'm about to just get a participation ribbon in front of everybody. Then it was time for the announcer to announce any of the mascots who had made All-American. And from high school, Big Bad the Wolf! I actually won! My mind was blown. I went up there, I got my award, everything was a blur. I was like, oh, I finally won something? And for NCA Best Mascot 2017, from high school, Big Bad the Wolf! I was probably crying under the mask. This trophy is the first trophy I had ever won in my entire life. This wasn't the team that had won. This wasn't the school that had won. Like, I actually earned something on my own. It may seem like a weird thing, but I had never been that proud of myself before. And I mean like about anything. And I don't mean to be all mushy, but I had literally gone from being booed at every game I attended to being invited to perform at professional halftime games. Not too shabby. Suffice to say, I went into junior year with a whole different attitude. Who's afraid of the big bad wolf, the big bad wolf, the big bad wolf? At this point, I finally felt confident performing in front of people, and with all the skills that I learned at camp, I was ready to take on the world. I mean, I made social media pages for the Mascot, I did appearances around town. I mean, I was a one-woman PR team. And because of this confidence boost and because of all this promotion I was doing, I was finally starting to find my voice as a person. I was learning to communicate with my teammates and my teachers in a way that I probably would not have if I wasn't the Mascot. At this point, even regular schmegular Lisa was starting to feel better about herself. Even if it was just small victories like dressing up for spirit days without feeling embarrassed, or raising my hand in class without feeling too shy to contribute anything. But this year wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Like a lot of people, junior year was absolutely my most stressful year of high school. And being the Mascot didn't exactly make that easier. At this point, I was still in like 5 or 6 other clubs on the side, and cheer on its own was like 15 hours plus travel. So balancing school and cheer was getting kinda tricky. I passed all my classes in the end, but junior year by far had some of my worst grades of high school. Big bad wolf, big bad wolf, I'm a big bad wolf. But it was time for my final year as the Mascot. So once more, as the tradition goes, I was the only person to try out again. I did go to cheer camp again that year, and I did win this cute little trophy to match my other one. And all in all, senior year of mascotting was pretty smooth. There wasn't a whole lot of hiccups. At this point, I had finally gotten the formula down of how to balance school and work and cheer and all these other different hobbies I had floating around. So as far as mascotting, this year went over pretty nicely. One thing that I did do my senior year was collect all of the memories that I had saved throughout high school, and I figured that's as good a time as any to show off a couple of my favorite mascotting memorabilia things that I have gotten throughout the years. So of course, being in NCA, I did collect a couple of different awards while I went to camp, so of course I'm proud of these bad boys. For All-American, I got this hoodie. And for All-American, what happens is that basically you are invited to perform at the Rose Bowl halftime show. I never did go because I think it was something about how the winter break lined up with our school schedule. But it would have been cool, but this hoodie is a relic. So these look kind of crazy, they look kind of busy right now, but these are 2 pages from my scrapbook from when I was a debutante, and they just have a couple of different things. So like for this, our basketball teams were state champs year after year, so every year we got to go down to San Antonio at least once, usually twice. The team would get to perform on the sidelines throughout the game, and that was super fun. And anytime I went, I would always try to cause a scene. That was my goal for any type of away game. I wanted to cause a scene so that the people would remember me. And on this one, these are just some of the ribbons that I won. Superior Senior All-American nominee. These 2 at the bottom, these are 2 of my favorite mascot pictures of myself. I love dressing up for Spirit Days, and this was for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. NCA All-American patches that I never put on my Letterman because I was too lazy. On the cheer team, it is a tradition to give gifts for different events and stuff. So like this megaphone, for instance, this was a gift from the cheer captains my senior year. It was really nice that they gave me one because I didn't think they would. I also got this little bow that says Lisa. One of the cheerleaders gave me that too. Every year our cheer coach would give us these super cute gifts at the cheer banquet. So like she gave us framed pictures of the team. She handmade all these pillows out of old cheer uniforms for us, and that's super cute. I think this was my senior year. She also gave us these cute makeup bags that also had our names on them. She gave us like jewelry holders. Thanks, coach. I want to say it was my senior year of high school, but the receptionist for the counseling office at my school also gave me these 2 bad boys. I believe her husband is a graphic designer. I don't know, they just took time out of their day to design these for me and give them to me, and I thought that was just so nice and so cool. And if you're watching this, thank you. One of my favorite memories from cheer actually happened outside of school. It was from work. This is my college calculator, but this is a sticker that I made at work. Basically, my job did a sponsorship with Coca-Cola where they had a booth set up and you could print out any sticker you wanted from your camera roll, turn it into a sticker, and you just had to have like this Coca-Cola caption on it, right? So I took this picture that I already had in my camera roll, and I put the caption, "Share a Coke with the party animal." And it's just a funny sticker. And one of the last relics that I saved from my Mascot experience, I actually find pretty handy. I'm so corny. But basically, I found this in my memory chest and I was like, why did I keep this? What is this for? Why do I have this? And then I remembered, oh yeah, there's kind of a fatal flaw in there. They replaced the old Mascot suit for a new one, and I just kept this because I guess I thought it was funny. So that was pretty much the end of my high school mascot journey. I did want to continue it in my college career, but I was actually too short. I was 3 inches too short to be my college mascot, so whoops. And after all my years of working with the National Cheer Association, they did invite me to apply to be a mascot instructor at the camp, which would have been a really cool opportunity, but looking back at the audition video I sent in, it's no wonder that I didn't get picked. That thing was rough. I guess that is pretty much the bulk of my high school mascot career. Like I said, I haven't noticed a whole lot of information or videos on YouTube about what it was like to be a former mascot or any people's like personal experiences, and I know when I was trying out, that's exactly what I was looking for. I hope if there's anything you take from this video, if you are considering trying out for being your high school mascot, do it. It might change your life. I loved the experience. It definitely did help me find myself in high school. It was a pretty niche thing to take an interest in, but I think that's why I liked it. But hey, if you want to see any more mascot related content on this channel, I do have plenty of anecdotes and stories about my time there. So if you'd like to hear any more mascot stories from me, or if you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you were a high school mascot, feel free to leave your best mascot story in the comments down below. If you've made it up until this point, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Feel free to hit that subscribe button if that's what you want to do. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Toodles!